Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Monday night's Paranormal Question of the Day. We'll be right back right after a short intro. Maybe. Sorry. Computer.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Paranormal Question of the Day. We do live podcasts with live guests, live paranormal investigations as well. We do product reviews, so sit back, enjoy the channel, get popcorn, get a soda, and I'll see you soon.
And we're back. It was just a little minor computer hiccup there, but there is that short intro like I promised. Welcome. Hopefully everybody's having a good Monday. And the work week has just started. I know you don't want to hear that, but it has. And it's, Monday's in. Now we start the rest of the week. So hopefully it's all on a good note. And you guys have an easy work week. And we have Small Town Paranormal. Hey, how you doing, fellas? That's one of my friends that we go out and hang out. So, and I love the hat. Thank you. So tonight we have a special guest with us. We have Jess Webb, and welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good. Glad you were able to come on. And originally I came across you on TikTok, and that was kind of nice for me to get a hold of different people in different platforms. Lots of times it's on YouTube or if it's on Facebook, but TikTok is starting to really heat up a little bit. So
Definitely is.
absolutely. So we'll hit you with the first hard question. Who is Jess Webb?
I am a medium with Beyond the Badge Paranormal, and I recently linked up with my best friend as well to do Seer Sisters. It kind of grows my ability, and I get to do something fun with my best friend. Yeah, I'm a mom, a wife to a first responder. Thanks, Jeremy. I think you're biased, though. Yeah.
Welcome.
But yes, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a boss, I'm a medium, I'm a paranormal investigator. I do all kinds of stuff. Stay busy.
Yeah, sounds like it. So what was your first interaction with the paranormal? Was it at a young age, or is it
Yes.
okay? Is that something you want to touch on, or is that something
Sure.
you're not comfortable
Yeah. So the first time I ever saw a spirit, I was probably about 4 or 5 years old. Scared the shit out of my mom and my family. They tried to get me to kind of push it down for years, and then I would say the last few years it's kind of kicked up a lot. And then my husband took me on an anniversary trip this time last year to Gettysburg,
with?
and
Ooh,
when we were there I just lit up and we fell in love with it. We toured the Jenny Wade house, we did the orphanage, loved it. Came home and found out that somebody I've known for a really long time, Jeremy Lefevre, was starting a group or in a group, and I messaged him and I was like, hey, can we learn from you? Turns out he didn't know too much either, and we've been learning together for the last year. So
and that's always exciting when you get another person to help you learn about the paranormal stuff because
yeah.
a lot of times it's a little hard. Sometimes it's scary for some
Yeah.
because they're not ready for it.
And yeah, it's definitely, we've been to some places and I've seen stuff that's not of this world, and I think that's when it gets a little scary. But
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, I've had a few things recently this year, but we'll get into that later on. But so when did you find out you were more of a had a mediumship?
so I identified as a sensitive for a really long time. I had an imposter syndrome, as Sarah likes to tell me, because I was just like, there's just no way I'm this cool. There's just no way. And then after doing several investigations, they were like, yeah, sensitives don't see the dead. So you definitely are a medium. So I started working with another good friend of mine, Jeannie. And when she told me I was a medium, I had to believe it because she's super gifted. So it's like, okay. I think I'm going to believe this, and Sarah reminds me all the time as well, and Jeremy and my husband and everybody. But once you go to enough places, I think, and you kind of know as much as I know, then you tend to believe it. You start to believe it. But for a long time, I identified as a sensitive.
Do you ever go to like, oh, and this is kind of a running joke mostly, but Walmart. Some people have problems going into Walmart because it's like they hear everybody what they're saying, and in their heads. Is that something like that? Do bigger places like that, like concerts or anything like that,
Yes. Am
kind
I
of have a problem?
overwhelmed? Yes, I get overwhelmed very easily in places because you have to figure like you not only have the people, and I feel all of the people, so I feel you. And then if your loved ones want to come forward, then I feel and see them. And then they're talking and you're talking and everyone else is talking and their emotions. And yes, it does get very overwhelming for sure.
I believe it. I believe it, and that's something that I'm glad I don't have a trait of, because it's like I'm always inside my own head as it is. But
Hmm.
when you get mediums that just start thinking of like knowing what's your head, it's like, hey, get out of my head. you know?
Yeah, for the most part you can turn it off. Every now and then I get a spirit that's just like not gonna let it down, and then I've just got to say something. But for the most part, they tend to be respectful when you start to set those boundaries.
Yeah. And that's what about shamans? How well do you get along with shamans? Do they want, because I think some of them are one and the same in a way sometimes.
Yeah, I haven't actually ran into any really, so I don't. I get along with everybody, I think.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. So who are like groups that you like look up to, you and Jeremy and your husband? Who do you look up to like for guidance if you kind of get stuck in a certain spot? I mean, do you do residentials?
So we haven't done any like residential homes. The closest we've done was probably circa 1760, which was someone's home, but they didn't actively live in the home. They just kind of it was in their family, and then they just kind of like left it as it is, and it was just kind of like a memory in time, if you will. That was like the closest thing. We haven't had to go to anyone's residence for any disturbances yet.
Okay.
I hope we do though. Not that I want people to be haunted, but um, I think it'd be really cool to go and do and experience. But I think we all look up to. Um, I know for us, like we loved like Destination Fear, which is now Project Fear. Jason Hawes, his daughter, and all of that good stuff. Just those people. I recently got to go to a Paracon and I got to meet all of them, which was really fun.
Very nice.
Hmm.
Yeah, I follow both of those too. When they were Destination Fear, I think they more had like with the TV production kind of tell them what to do, and they couldn't really be themselves. And then
Right.
when they broke away to go on YouTube to be Project Fear, they really opened up,
They did.
and I like that because they're original.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes they kind of learn from their mistakes as to what to do and what not to do. But
Yeah.
that's everybody though when it comes to the paranormal.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
I mean, it takes a mistake to learn from it. Um, what is your feelings about portals and uh, Ouija boards, scrying mirrors, which they're all kind of combined into one?
Hmm.
What are your feelings on those?
Well, I've never done the mirror thing. I want to do it. I haven't yet. Ouija board scared the shit out of me, and I'm just being honest. And portals, I fully believe they're there. Absolutely. A place that I frequent very often, Cabin on 360, I'm pretty damn confident that place has some in there, especially in those haunted woods.
Oh,
Pretty certain.
I can imagine that. I mean, there's lots of stuff that goes around Cabin 360. I have not been there yet, but I've learned a lot of stuff about it.
Yeah, you check it out.
So how do you determine where the portal is? Is it like a sensitive feel, or is it like, because
Hmm.
I've kind of heard like there's like when a portal is open,
Yes.
there is like a big bang that sort of happens and it's open for so long. Do you agree with that, or do you think it's a different kind of way how you experience it?
I don't really know how they come about, but I do know that when I'm near it, I can get like envision, like a vision of it, if you will, and I can kind of sense it because I am still a sensitive, and I'm also medium, meaning I can see them and sense them. So a lot of times I
Hmm.
sense it before I see it. For me, I just get like an image in my head, like in specific to that place. I can almost see it as like just a hole, and there's just things coming out of it.
Is it like a mixture of good spirits, bad spirits, or is it just
Both,
mostly, huh?
both.
Both. Okay.
Hmm.
And the word, we talk about, how everything is in TV is like demonic and stuff like that nowadays,
Mm,
which is really overplayed and overused.
yes.
Have you had any like really bad experiences where like, maybe we shouldn't be here for a while and just let it tame down a little bit, or
Yes.
do you feel like, okay, this can be like really dark, but not as dark as people say?
So places that have been could be potentially really dark, but I didn't see them to be that dark was probably Waverly Hills. There was a lot of people that barked, like made it seem like this big thing, in
Hmm.
certain things, and I just think there's a lot of restless spirits there that maybe just want to be left the hell alone. And I think that's why you probably get some not nice things like they're an obulist or a spirit talker or whatever. And not to keep talking about Cabin on 360. I swear I'm not out here being, trying to promote the place, but
Oh no, that's fine.
maybe I am a little bit,
It's a
but
very popular place. Dennis is
it
a good
is.
friend of mine.
Uh, and I'm biased because I love everybody there, but
Right.
that place has something in the basement that is just foul that I currently am taking a little mini break from. And I told Sarah after we had this event that I needed a little break because that place gets a little rough.
Yeah. Have you had to the point where you were maybe like oppressed? Felt like something kind of jumped inside of you at all yet?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
The closest experience I've ever had to like not being myself was just kind of doing a if you watched our most recent episode, House of Evil, there's a part of there that's not in the episode, and it's where we're in the woods. I don't know if like I was just under Estes for entirely too long because it was a very long day of Estes, um, or what. But when I took my blindfold off, like I didn't feel like I was in my body. It was a very weird feeling. But other than that, no, I'm super religious, so I've been really blessed in that way that I don't have those issues. Now, we've had fellow investigators have that issue, but I have not.
Right. Right. Now, speaking of being religious, um, do you try to separate the paranormal with the religious stuff, or do you like to put it all together in one and then just kind
All
of go with
together.
it all together?
All together.
Okay, because I know there's a lot that do separate. Me personally, I do the separation type deal because
Hmm.
I think sometimes it gets in the way. Um, the episode's so scary. I'll have to check those out. You guys are on YouTube, correct?
We are on YouTube, yes.
Okay, I'll have to definitely subscribe after the show. Um, but leaving your body and stuff like that. There's a thing with astral projection. And what are your thoughts of astral projection? Is that something you're able to do? I know there's different variations of astral
Hmm.
projection. What are your feelings, and what is it like for you if you do so?
I have never. I've heard a lot about it. I think it would scare the shit out of me if I'm being honest. Like, I wouldn't know what to do. I think I'm going to leave that to somebody that knows what they're doing. Don't know if I could. I've never tried. But it's very interesting. It's a very interesting thing to talk about and to hear about. I've only met one person that's ever been able to do it. Um, and when they talk about it, it sounds frightening, to be honest. But
Definitely check out Holly Mullins. She's done a lot of that. That's a one person that I would highly suggest you talk to. She could really explain that really well to you.
awesome, I have to do that.
So, do you ever get premonitions?
Yes.
And how does that go? Do you get like some dreams that we all get a lot of vivid dreams sometimes that really scares the crap out of us? But how does your premonitions work, and how long does it usually take for those premonitions to really come for tuition?
I typically get my premonitions right before any investigation that we go to. Like if it's pretty much anywhere. Before, when I first tapped into my abilities and I was very new to them and didn't have like a full control over myself, it would just be super sporadic. And now I can almost hone in and channel in before we go anywhere, or before I work with anyone if I'm doing a read on someone. And it can be week, 2 weeks, or days beforehand, and I'll know spirits' names. I'll know different things that are going to happen. I'll have a dream about something that will happen while we're there. It'll help us be more protected. I've had a couple different experiences.
All right. That's good though. I mean, it kind of keeps you on your toes a little bit because when you get that deja vu moment,
Yeah,
like, hey, I've been here before. This thing is over here, and it's actually there. Uh, it does help you prepare a little bit.
yeah.
Um, so what's have you walk us through how you approach your investigations? Walk me through it on what you all do during your investigations, and also how do you end your investigations?
Sure. So for me as the medium, I will typically, I do a lot of grounding beforehand. I'm usually outside in nature, walking around in the grass and getting myself grounded. I try to like meditate. I always have crystals, incense, like that's my stuff that I do that gets me kind of where I need to be. I typically pray before I go in there. Um, as a group, we Jeremy and I talk every day. Me, him, and my husband. And if before we go to investigation, we already really kind of know what the hell we want to do when we get there. And then sometimes we get there and we just kind of do whatever feels right, depending on how many people we have and where we're going, etc. Um, but yeah, just as a team, we just really talk about who's going what and where. And typically, we have to separate if we have a big or everyone in our group comes, because I'm like a lead investigator, and then Jeremy would also be a lead investigator. And my husband's usually my cameraman. He doesn't like to be on the camera too much. But yeah, there's nothing too big that we do beforehand. We do something huge after, which is we always cleanse before we leave any property to keep whatever is there there.
Hmm.
We don't want to take anything home, which all of us have experienced.
Right, right. What did you do to cleanse yourself with?
Dragon's blood. We do use dragon's blood sage. I also carry my holy water and anointing oil because you just never know what the hell you're walking into when you go to these places.
Right. Now, speaking of holy water,
Mm-hmm.
it's one of the questions I always bring up. Now, and we know holy water. What makes it holy water, or is it just water? Because there's a lot of discussion. Like, okay, yeah, you bring holy water, but a lot of people think it's just water. So, what makes it holy water, and what makes it work for you?
I think it's where it comes from, but I also think that it's all about your intention, right? Like if you fully believe in something and you bless something and you bless someone and you fully believe that, I think your intentions are everything.
Okay, and I mean, that is true. I mean, a lot of things that we do are about intent,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to mood. Going to a location, if you're not in it, you're not into it, and that changes the whole complexion.
It does.
And a lot of people aren't really aware of that. They think that it's all right. I mean, my mood is my mood. I go the way I want, but it's like
Yeah, no.
you really hurt the investigation when somebody's not really all there.
Yes.
So, and that's one of those things I do preach. I mean, because I was also, I used to do a paranormal location, so to speak, and I had groups coming in and stuff like that, check people in and whatnot. Um, and it's just one of those things like, if I'm not in that mood to be there that night, I'm like, hey, sorry, can't do it. I'm not in a very good mood. I need to stay home, you know.
Yeah.
And because I don't want to wreck the team's investigation that are there because they pay to be there. So I
Right.
want them to have the best possible investigation they can have. So very important, very important. Um, so what are the things that really bother you the most about paranormal stuff? Is there something that you want to change or hopefully changes down the future?
No, I don't think there's. I mean, I I wouldn't say anything bothers me, but I would say that um, what we do with Beyond the Badge is to try to be vastly different than anybody else, because I think that you can get on TikTok, like we were talking about before, and
Hmm.
everybody's one and the same, and they're kind of doing the same thing. And for us, we go out with a mission and a purpose, and we put out really good content, and we strive to be super professional and thorough and real and honest. And I think you touched on it a little bit. What frustrates me is that people go to these places and they always scream like a demon, or everything is just, this big malevolent thing, and it's technically not. They're just trying to get views, and there's just not a lot of honesty or any of that. That's the only thing that really bothers me, but I wouldn't say anything frustrates me.
Right, right. I totally agree. Totally agree. So how did you guys come up with the name Beyond the Badge of Paranormal? What's the meaning behind it that you came with that one?
That would be all Jeremy Lefevre, but it is all about firefighters and first responders. He started the group as a way to kind of get firefighters together and kind of have a healthier outlet than alcohol, to kind of relieve their stress and have a little bit of fun. There we go. Yep, we make content for our calls. That's right. I'm getting there. So yeah, so that's kind of how he started it. And then once we started to make the content, we realized how much it helped from a mental health perspective.
Hmm.
We've partnered up with Survive First, and now we are with that nonprofit organization, and we raise money for them. And yeah, so it's all about mental health for us. Like, we're all about it. That's our passion. So
Very
every
nice.
time we make a video, people watch the video, and it's actually helped first responders. Survive First has been there for some people that we know in their time of need. So
Very nice. Very nice. I like that. That's a very good approach to that, and I very much appreciate that. Um, so, what has been your kind of favorite groups that you guys investigated with, and would you do different groups besides that?
we haven't investigated with anybody other than our friends at Cabin on 360. We have not had any groups that we've like really gone out with and done anything with. It's kind of just been us doing our thing.
Okay. Do you ever watch Facebook Lives to kind of like watch different people and how they do their investigations? Because I feel
I do.
that's a very good learning tool.
It is.
And do you feel like, oh, okay, Jeremy, maybe we should try this on our next investigation, or maybe get in contact with some of these people that are in our area that would go to these different locations? Is it mostly about
Absolutely.
locations too?
Yeah, absolutely. So I watch a lot of lives. He watches a lot of live. We get on a lot of different podcasts for people. We're always listening, learning, networking, just really involved and immersed in the paranormal field.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, I think you learn every time you go. We learn from each other. We learn from watching our own videos. We learn from watching everybody else's stuff. We're always learning. I think that's the best thing about this field, and it's always evolving. Like, there's always new equipment. There's always new stuff.
Exactly. That is the very right answer on that, because that's one of the things I really do touch up on. It's like if you think that you're done learning and you think you know everything, it's time to go.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
you
a
don't know.
yeah, I mean, there's new locations that always pop up. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm working with a friend of mine right now on a bar, coincidentally. So, it's been back in the 1800s. So, um, try different things. What is your feeling on outdoor investigations versus indoor investigations, and how
I
do you
think.
treat them differently?
I mean, I think that they're more challenging from a video perspective, right? When you're making content, um, that and trying to walk around in the woods in the dark is never a fun thing, and I'm not graceful. Um, but I feel like sometimes outside, depending on where you are, like outside at Cabin in 360 is vastly different from our very first episode at Old House Woods. Like, it's a different energy, it's a different kind of spirit. So I think it varies from place to place.
Hmm.
But being outside versus being inside, you definitely can encounter different things. Whereas sometimes whatever's in a home kind of just stays in the home. You never know what you're going to
Right,
go out and
right.
see when you're out in the woods. Could be anything.
Yeah. And you just don't know what to expect in the woods.
You don't.
Uh,
I mean, how do you know it's all paranormal too? Like, it could be a damn
exactly.
deer. Like, you don't know.
I
Look
mean,
out.
I
Yeah.
mean, you never know what you could. I mean, when we talk about portals, before,
Yeah.
you can walk into a portal and not really know about it because things all of a
Yeah.
sudden start getting weird. And I was in the woods this past Saturday with a friend of mine that we were talking about the bar, and we went in there, just him and I, and it was the first time that we both ever been there. So we were following the path, and it's like, oh, okay, this looks pretty easy. I don't think we could get lost out of here. And it was like 6:30 at night, and all of a sudden it just got real dark in there. And it's like, okay, let's move on to the next spot. So we did 2 spots in the woods, and it's like, okay, it's time to wrap up. We've been out here long enough. Before all this, we did see a bobcat. So, and I'm like, oh shit, you know. But I mean, it was weird. We did get lost in the woods for about an hour trying to find our way out. Um, but I mean, it's an Indian, Native American, archaeological trail, and we did play some drums, music, and we kind of heard drum music back. So,
That's
uh,
awesome.
but is that kind of what it's like out there in Cabin 360, or is that more to deal with like soldiers and stuff like that?
You get all the above. I've had soldiers. I've had a lot of soldier activity. I've interacted with children out there. I've interacted with soldiers out there. I've interacted with not nice things out there. Just different. There's a bunch of different things.
Hmm. What was your feelings on shapeshifters, skinwalkers type deal?
I mean, I believe it until somebody tells me otherwise. I mean, that's one of those things that you don't. Isn't that like in the Appalachian Mountains and stuff like that you were talking about then? Like I see a lot of those TikTok videos, and they show a lot of different stuff. Now, if whether or not if it's accurate or not, I very much believe it.
Hmm. I'm not one that's a very big believer in Bigfoot, but there's always a tale with Bigfoot that always connects itself with UFOs and UFO sightings and stuff like that. What is your take on that? You feel the same way?
UFOs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I believe in a lot of it, but I also I believe in spirits and I see spirits, so I think it's all in that same realm. I think we believe in the unexplained.
Yeah. And it's a good way to further your experience on different cultures and different things
Hmm.
of investigating different styles and cryptids and stuff like that. Um, do you have any urban legends out there that you guys go and check out?
Not that I can think of right off the top of my head. I don't remember thinking or doing anything about an urban legend.
Okay. I think urban legends are a good split off from doing paranormal stuff. It's more of kind of like being like a detective part in a way,
Mm. Oh, you have to
seeing if
learn
it,
about it.
yeah, as if it's true
You
or
know,
not.
I would say because now that I'm like thinking about it, the only one that we've had would be Old
Hey,
House
Amy.
Woods, and they try to say that there's like a spirit ship, like some sort of like ghost ship that's in the woods. We didn't see no damn ghost ship when we were out there. That would probably be the only thing coming to like coming into my brain that we heard that was supposed to happen that didn't happen when we were out
Okay.
there.
Um, Here's another one for you that kind of might blow your mind a little bit. The mysterious steps in the woods. Have you heard about something like that?
Mysterious steps.
Yep, mysterious steps in the woods.
Nope.
So what that is where you kind of walk five, and I know 5 miles is a long distance walking in the woods.
Yeah.
Um, but what it entails is that you come across these steps, and like, why would these flight of stairs be in the woods? And they lead to nowhere. And what is said that if you climb up the stairs, and don't climb up the stairs if you come across it, because um, yes, there's some strange things that happens around it, and then two, if you climb up the stairs, they have heard it. They found people like 5 miles away deceased.
Yeah. No.
So, but that's one of those things that they kind of pop up anywhere. It doesn't have to be like if you leave and then you come back and it may not be there again. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a kind of a funky thing, but it's out there. I've heard of it. I've seen video footage of one.
Hmm.
It's
No,
very
never
interesting.
seen that. Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna walk up some random steps though.
No, not unless they're saying something from Led Zeppelin there, Stairway to Heaven. But um, so what are some of your favorite locations that you've done, and is there any of them that really scare you the most? And what was the most scariest one you've been to? Like, I don't know if I want to go back.
I don't know that there's any that have like just scared me so much that I don't want to go back. I think that all of them provide a different experience paranormally, and then from like a caretaker's owner's perspective and how well they like take care of a property and such.
Hmm.
Um, my bucket list place was Waverly Hills Sanatorium, and we got to go there this past July. Absolutely amazing. The place is super clean, well taken care of. The staff is fantastic. They're super knowledgeable. Um, they were just overall great. It was a wonderful experience. We had an absolute best time. And then we've been to some places. I don't want to like call out any places because we're probably going to go back to some of these.
Hmm.
But we went to one place and it was just not. Oh, okay, Jeremy. Okay, he's just throwing it out there. Um, yes,
That's okay.
basement
I've
of
heard of that place though.
Sweet Spring Sanatorium. The whole vibe of that place was just odd. And it was very dirty. I'm just being fully transparent. No knock to Sweet Springs. Might have just been the time that I went. But yeah, I had the shit scared out of me by birds, bats. If you watch the video, it's hilarious. Um, he has a scream count on there for how many times I screamed because it was nonsense. It was pure nonsense the whole time we were there. But anyways, yeah, the basement of Sweet Springs, we hauled ass out of there for sure. Um,
Oh.
Jeremy had yeah, cluttered, yeah, for sure. But yeah, and then there was random dead birds everywhere too. That was weird. But anyways, yeah. So
Hmm.
we were in the basement of Sweet Springs, and I encountered a male spirit that was residing down there. He was pretty angry and pretty large, um, and he wasn't a huge fan of Jeremy Lefevre at all, and hopped into him. And Jeremy has no memory of any of it. Um, but he had like a very demonic laugh, and we got the hell out of there really quick. It was 2 a.m. and we didn't care. We were leaving, and we drove all the way home from West Virginia to Virginia and got the hell out of there.
Oh. Now, we were talking about before about St.
Yeah.
Albans. Sorry,
Yes.
I always mispronounce that word. Now, I've heard that the bowling alley in that area is quite active and pretty freaky. What is your intake?
Yeah. For me, the observation area, the observation wing was more, that's where I saw my very first huge shadow man
Hmm.
who antagonizes the child spirit that was sodomized to death there. Um, and he's located there. His name is, the little boy's name is Jacob. That spot stuck out to me more so than the basement. I mean, sure, the basement's creepy and there's clicks and there's knocks and taps, and but the whole scene that I saw on Destination Fear, I didn't have that experience personally. No, there more so the observation wing.
Yeah. Um, so you want to explain to people about like TV shows and how different it is versus doing the actual investigations? What is your intake, and how do you feel about the TV shows that they got out there today?
I mean, I like most of them. Some of them don't show it, but then also too, I've learned that like they look so freaking big on TV. Like you go and you think it's going to be this massive place, and it's not. Like I thought St. Albans was going to be much larger than what it was. It's Trust me, it's big enough for a group of like 8 people to
Mhm.
thoroughly have a great time, and not overlap any evidence or anything like that. But I've learned that it's vastly different just because I mean you can't get everything on clips, right? And they only show half of what they capture anyway. They're only going to show the parts that have evidence because you're not going to get evidence the whole night. That's the
Mhm.
biggest misconception, is that you're going to go into these places and it's going to be super active the entire time you're there. That's false.
Right.
Sometimes you can sit there for 20, 30 minutes and nothing, no clicks, no taps, no nothing. Um,
I've
so that
been
would
to
be
the
the biggest
location and
difference.
got nothing.
Thankfully, we've everywhere we've gone, we've had something, and we always joke and say it's because all of us are so messed up that they just come to us because all of us have some sort of trauma. But yeah,
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Let's talk about cabin 360.
yeah,
So we know Dennis is one of the guys that runs
yeah.
the location, and S-Lock, for those of you that know Dennis S-Lock. And so let's talk about that. What all do you know about the location? What draws you to the location? What kind of does your investigations differ each time you get there, or does it kind of stay more on par as to when you go there all the time?
I mean, I think I've been there. I've frequented there pretty often. I think I've been there about 6 or 7 times now. And for me, I mean, I do the same thing I always do. I go see the spirits that I already know are there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when I think about what draws me there, um, the story of Melissa. So I that was the first big place that I think I went to, and had that kind of experience. Like, I met Melissa in her beautiful state and then in her death state. And it traumatized me a little bit. And Dennis was super helpful because he's
Mm-hmm.
also a sensitive and a medium, and was able to take me out of the residence and help me ground and kind of get my shit together because what I saw was horrible and
Mm-hmm.
traumatizing. Um, and as horrible as it was, it left a mark on me. And the amount of evidence that you get when you go there is incredible. It's almost addicting to go there, to be honest with you, because you go and there's never a dull moment at the cabin, ever. Like, you're going to, and then it'll vary too. Like, some nights the cabin will be super active, and then some nights the brick rancher next door will be active, or the woods will be super active. So I think that you get so much on that property. Like you said, from soldiers to the people that have owned the home, the Currys, to the brick rancher that's located next door where the murder took place. And if you don't know the story about it, the brick rancher, the cabin once had a brothel located inside of it. I won't tell all of Dennis's thunder. If you ever go, he does his history lesson, and he's going to do it a whole lot better than me. But if you go to the brick rancher, that's where the murder happened with a little girl named Melissa. Her brother brutally murdered her. Rachel murdered her in the home. So for me, I think I go back constantly. One, because I've created a bond with everyone there, and
Mm-hmm.
they're almost like my family now. But then also, you're going to get evidence. So if you want to go and you want to have like a good time with a really great group of people, and you want to learn something, and you want to find evidence, definitely hit up the cabin on 360. I recommend it to everybody.
Awesome. Um, so let's get to your bucket list. What are your bucket lists do you have?
Oh, I think it changes all the time. I think I'm so hung up on this coming year. Like last year, I was like, I have to get to Waverly. This year, for some reason, I'm really stuck on the Hinsdale house.
Mm.
I watched an episode of Project Fear, and I'm like captivated. Like, that's like, I want to go, but I want to go in the most smallest group so that it's even more like scary. Because I feel like the bigger our group is, less scary it is. And you gotta get the shit scared out of you at least once in order for it to be a good time.
I think big groups are harder. Um, I
Yeah.
think that they can kill the location a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, all locations have their lull time where they're not as active, and they kind of like take a break. Like we all take a break, and it's just one of those things that it's just a personal preference of I like going like anywhere from 5 to 6 people max on a location. I think
Right.
that it makes it a lot easier to capture stuff, and yes, you do get your fear factor out of it. And I was going to bring it up. I went to a place with Small Town Paranormal. It was in here earlier. I'm not sure if they're still in here, but we went to a place called Edinburgh Manor, which is in Iowa, Scottsbluff, Iowa. And this place is 12,000 square feet. It was just the four of us. And let me tell you, the strangest things I have never experienced. I experienced that weekend. We were there for 2 nights, and man, I mean, we've had spirits come through our radios, play with the two radios in front of us, and we're both not even touching it. And it's like I had heard a little girl come through it. It was strange things that we've and it mimic spirits, doppelganger spirits, hearing our own voices coming out of something. That's some funky stuff.
And what is this called again? I want to go.
Edinburgh Manor, Scotts Grove, Iowa.
Edinburgh.
It's
Check that
definitely
out.
it's a place that's been on TV quite a bit, and but it's a very you have a house to sleep in the back if you don't want to sleep in the manor. Um,
Why not? To have the whole experience.
well, I mean there are some. I mean this place can get darn right freaky. I mean there's and I always say that the second day really like the first night they're learning you and figure out you. And
Mm.
then the second night it really picks up. But for us, and it was Small Town Paranormal's first time being there, my second time being there. I mean, Kat Armstrong was the one that gave the tour, and Paranormal Exposures is another team to look up. They're awesome people. Um, and so she was giving a tour as like I already had my tour, so they're kind of filming the tour with them. It's their YouTube channel. I'm standing in the hallway, and all I'm doing is like this, like I'm hearing knocks, I'm hearing taps, I'm hearing footsteps, like right off the bat. It went crazy that first night. I didn't expect it to go that nuts, and then the second night was even more crazy because we actually thought that okay, well it's in the afternoon. Let's take a nap in a manor and see if we can hear anything or whatnot. By 1:30 in the afternoon, things started getting busy, and we just started right there and then at 1:30 in the afternoon. And it's a place that works both day and night for activity. And the second floor was definitely very heavy. And it's one of those things like I don't get freaked out too often. But the next day, when I went up there to get the rest of my equipment, I went to the women ward side, and I'm like, get so far, I'm like, I don't think so. Let's go this way. So I went the other way to the men's ward to see if I had any stuff in there. Like, I think I got everything. It's time to go. that's how much it was and how heavy and how weird it was upstairs in that place. So
I think
there's
I need
quite
to
a
go.
few spirits in that location. So um, so what are the things that you like to use far as like equipment wise during your investigations? I know Jeremy probably could put it some in the comment section, but what is your big things that you like to use? What don't you like to use? What do you feel is a waste of time as far as equipment?
I think it varies by the place that we're at. My newest favorite things to use are my dowsing rods. Some people love them, some people hate them. Some people think that they're legit, and some people don't. But if you've ever used them, you'd know that they are legit. Um, I'm obsessed with Estes now. It used to scare the crap out of me before, but I love doing Estes, so I love the spirit box. Um, and cat balls are always like really easy for the spirits to manipulate, and
Hmm.
I've almost always gotten activity with spirit balls from the manor house in Williamsburg to cabin on 360 in Melissa's room to Waverly Hills. The kids were playing with them, so just everywhere.
Is there something that you don't really like that
Mm,
kind of bothers you during an
no,
investigation?
I don't think any of them bother me. I don't use I probably don't use my K2 as often. I've had luck maybe 2 out of 10 spots with the K2, um, but I still like it. There's something I
Okay.
don't dislike, and we also have our SLS, which is also pretty cool.
Yeah, that one I'm kind of on the fence with the SLS in a way. Um, the new one out there called the XLS is a
Hmm.
little more in depth, 3D visual. From what I understand, you can capture shadow figures on the XLS. Uh,
Talking does bother us, Jeremy. Yeah.
so, um, but I mean, talking does, yes. There are teams that like you have to be absolutely quiet. Um,
Yeah. And then
um,
sometimes people don't want to be. They feel like they need to talk, or they're like, you tell them like we have to have a moment of silence, and they're picking up their cell phone, and they
mhm,
think that that's their moment of silence. Like we need you to be immersed and present in where you're at. Yeah.
right. Um,
Mhm.
spirits like to have fun too. I find a lot of times when we're just joking around and just kind of
I love
goofing
it.
off a little bit, that a lot of things do come out of that. Um, and it's a way to break up the investigation from being serious to not serious. Um,
Yeah.
there is a time to be serious when you're wherever you're at, because each location is different, like you said. Um, so yeah, I totally understand that. Now, what is your feeling about provoking? Do you do any provoking? What are your opinions on provoking? Do you think it to be tactful? Is there a right place to do it? What are your thoughts?
I'm personally not a fan of it just because I approach spirits in a really respectful way
Mhm,
because I see and feel them, right? Like
mhm,
this is their home. Like the last thing I want to do is go in their home and be disrespectful in any way. So I personally am not a fan of provoking. I feel like there's tons of ways to get evidence without provoking and being rude.
mhm.
So me personally, I'm not a fan of it. Now it might work for other people, and if it works for you, you do you. But I personally don't agree with it just because this is their home, right? So, and we're in their home. So I feel like I wouldn't want someone to come in my house and be provoking me and being disrespectful to me. So I try to go into these places with the same thought.
Okay. Oh, good answer. Good answer. Uh, do you guys, far as locations go to, like we have trigger objects in a way?
Mm-hmm.
Now, so let's say there's a house that, so to speak, had a like they use an axe. Okay, we'll
Mm-hmm.
just throw that out there. Uh, do you like take like a miniature axe with you and say, okay, this is our trigger object. It's in the house. See what happens, and play off of that to get some interaction, or do you kind of back away from some of that of what tragedy has happened there to just see what you get?
I back away and just kind of see what I get. I don't know that we've ever used, and maybe he can correct me, or maybe it'll come to me in a few minutes, like Old House Woods did. But I don't recall us ever using anything as a trigger object, not yet, anyway. I'm not against it as long as you're being respectful.
Right,
Um,
right,
I would also say to be cautious what you use too. You don't want to upset anybody.
correct.
Um, if that's
Um,
what tragically brought them to an end, I probably wouldn't use it. But if it was like a soldier that used to like to smoke maybe a cigarette or something like that, depending on what you're using.
okay. Um, and for Jeremy too, uh, definitely check up Wazaki Paranormal. He makes REM pods, which I just picked up a cigarette pack REM pod. So basically, if you want to like say, hey, if it's a smoking area, or I have a cigar box made into a REM pod, those are things that are kind of key for back in the day when there was a lot of smokers back out there.
Hmm.
So just kind of an idea for you guys. And he
Yeah,
bakes anything for whatever you need to as well. So
that's really cool.
and he's based out of Council Bluffs, Iowa. So um, yeah. So do you guys have anything coming up that you want to talk about or promote?
We do. So we're going to be getting together to make an episode that's going to be essentially us talking about kind of our very first year together and then cutting in some really awesome evidence and experiences that we've had. And then we have St. Albans on November 24th that we'll be going to, and that will wrap us up for our very first season. And then we'll take a little break and then we'll come back.
So when does season usually start for you guys?
This is our first year, so this is all brand new. Beyond the Badge started October of last year, and then my husband and I joined the first week of November of last year. So we're kind of figuring it out as we go.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, somewhere up here in the Midwest, we like to stop around mid-November, snowstorms. Nobody
Yeah, you
wants to
think about the
travel through
weather.
all that stuff.
Hmm.
But
I think we think about holidays too. Like everybody, all of our people are first responders. And then I'm also a store manager of a retail store. So this is when it kicks up for me in a different way. So I think it's between cold weather and then family time for all of us. Yeah.
very cool. Do you think you have stuff going on at your store? Do you ever pick up anything?
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Yes. We have a male spirit that always hangs out in the back. I have a colonial woman that comes and goes. And then I have a little boy who's always on my sales floor running around playing.
Oh.
He doesn't fill my shoes for me, but he does knock them onto the floor all the time.
Do you ever take equipment to your job or not really?
Yes, I had a cat ball with me the other day. And I actually used it. I left it in there on accident because I was at the cabin on 360, and then I laughed because I was like, oh look, I have a spirit box and a cat ball and this thing to hold my phone as like a camera. And I was like, okay, well we can use it. Plus I have necrophonic on my phone,
Okay.
and the spirit talker device.
Spirit Talker I use a lot.
Yeah, I like the Spirit Talker, and the Necrophonic, and I've used those. We lost power probably like, I don't know, I guess it was right around like what we call tax-free season for us, which would be in August. And we lost power, and of course we thought it'd be a great time for us to do like a little paranormal event in vans and to wait for the power to come back on, and it was really fun to see them get scared
Oh,
for
that's
sure.
good. Oh, I like that though. It's something to make it entertaining and pass the time. Get
Hmm.
them to see a different side of you,
Hmm.
which is good.
Yes.
I mean, I know there's some people that frown upon that in a business, but you
Everybody
know,
thinks I'm super cool. My boss is always like, we were on a Zoom call probably about a month and a half ago, and he like mid conference call was like, I hear noises. Jessica, do you see anything? And I'm like, I'm not even paying attention right now. Like I'm writing notes, and it was just the funniest thing. So everyone embraces it.
well, that's cool.
I'm
I
very
like
blessed
that.
in that way.
I like that because it's like I said, a lot of people shy away from that or have problems with that.
They do.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just saying they
Oh,
do. A lot of
yeah,
people, it's controversial, right? Like some people are like, oh, you don't see anything. That doesn't happen. I'm like, okay,
yeah. It takes them. They have to usually find out for themselves, and
they
I
do.
get a lot of people that I work with, like, "Oh, come on, you're just full of crap," and I'm like, "Hey, you want to come with me? I mean, I have no
Yeah.
problem bringing you with me. No, I'm good. I'm good. I just think that's full of crap. Well, then you can't really say it's full of crap if you don't want to take up on my offer
Yeah.
because they're
It's
just
because I think they're just scared of like what's out there and the unexplained. And I think some people just want to pretend like it's not there and it gives themselves peace of mind.
yeah, yeah. So how do have you investigated a hospital yet?
Hospital. I guess sanatoriums are kind of like hospitals. And then there was like a hospital part of Waverly Hills, if you will, like where they had like the surgeries and stuff like
Hmm.
that. But no, never just going into a hospital. I would love to. And I also would love to do a prison as well. Both of them
Ah,
I think would be really fun.
okay, okay. Do you go investigate cemeteries a lot?
Not a lot, but I have.
Okay. Do you think there's a different way how cemeteries work versus like religion wise? Like if you go to a Catholic cemetery versus a non-Catholic cemetery or a witch cemetery, do you think it all like Salem, in that area? Uh, do you think it all changes, or do you think they're kind of one of the same? And
I feel like it would be different. Like I don't have enough experience to tell you, but
Mhm.
I feel like it would probably be different on the interactions and the energy that you would feel. I think it would be different. I don't think that I believe that there are spirits in cemeteries because I've seen them, but I don't think that it's as active. It's the most active place I've ever been. Just because why would you hang out with your body? I'm gonna go like see the world and hang out and harass the new homeowners that have moved into my home. Like that's what I'm gonna do when I pass away. I'm not hanging out with my body. um, but yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Definitely interesting. Cemeteries can be weird
I
at
mean,
times.
yeah, they feel like they can be. I mean, it's a cemetery, but like I
Yeah,
don't feel like it's just like this
they're
big scary
not
place.
demonic in any sort of way. I don't
Right,
feel
right.
it.
Well, most stuff isn't, right?
Right,
So
exactly. If you look at like for our school that was just bought by those YouTube people, Colby and Sam or whatever their name is,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um, now they kind of ruined that location because they're making it more demonic than it is.
Mm,
Because it's not. I mean, you got the boiler and you got the principal, kind of one of the meanest things that are in that location,
right.
and they price hiked it by $600. So,
Yeah.
a $400 location is now $1,300.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's one of my biggest gripe on locations is price.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Increases are kind of crazy. And that's what kind of
yeah.
goes back to how well that you take care of it, right? And like the caretakers and like how well they tell the story in the place and how well they take care of it. Like some of it's worth it, right? But then
Hmm.
some places you're like, really?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, okay, well, with Waverly Hills, yes, they take care of it very well, but 1,500 for 8 hours only. I just to me that's just
They're
such a
strict too. Yeah. They don't
yeah
let you through that gate very early. We got lucky and got to go in a whole 15 minutes before. But
yeah
I was not moving. I was going to sit and wait at that gate.
yeah. It's just I don't really agree with that because it's like, okay, we're paying to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of let us relax a little bit and be ourselves instead of being such on a strict
You try almost like
schedule.
having to rush. Yeah.
Right. I mean, nothing ever good comes out of being rushed when you investigate.
Right.
Because then you're like figuring out, okay, let's do this here, let's do it there,
Right.
let's hurry up,
Mm-hmm.
do a little bit here, do a little bit there,
Yeah.
and it's like it doesn't give you a chance to really get to know the place like you would like.
Yeah. I do think it's some place that I would like to go back again. I think the coolest thing that we did at Waverly, which was different than any other location, was because we traveled so far. It was a 9-10 hour drive for us.
Hmm.
And because the place was so big and we really just wanted to have an experience, because of how much we paid and how far we traveled, we turned off cameras at midnight and just were investigators and not, making a YouTube video. Like we just got to investigate, which was so much fun.
Hmm. Yeah, I try to tie both at the same time. Sometimes, a lot of times, I even forget the even cameras even on, um, and it just you go into that certain mode,
You do.
and it's just like it completely separates everything.
It
Um,
does.
what has been the most outside of the box experiment you have done on an investigation, and what kind of experiments would you like to try?
I don't think I've done anything outside of the box. I just had that one hell of an Estes experiment, so definitely watch that. That was probably the craziest thing I've ever seen and been through.
Hmm.
Not outside the box. I haven't done anything outside the box yet, but hey, I'll try anything during an investigation. I think we're learning different things and we're figuring out what we like and don't like still, and yeah.
Absolutely. And do you feel that going live on Facebook, do you feel that helps or hinders your investigation?
I don't go live on Facebook. I'm with people that have gone live on Facebook. I personally, I don't like to hold the camera. I'm
Hmm.
gonna sound like a princess here. I
No,
don't
that's all right.
personally like to have the camera or try to do any of that because I can't really read and connect if I'm holding onto a device and I'm worrying about, hey, is my angle right? Is this right? Is my audio on? Am I doing the 15 things that I know that I need to do to get a really good shot? How can I read effectively or really be immersed like I want to be if I'm
Hmm.
holding that camera? But that's me.
Oh, I get that. I totally get that. Um, well, hinders for sure. Yeah, and I get that too because sometimes when you're wanting to concentrate, but yet you want to answer what's on
Yeah, it's tough.
it,
Do it
you kind of lose train of
beforehand,
thought.
right? Yeah, like do it before you start to investigate. Like get people to watch and maybe do like my best friend Sarah and fellow CA sister, she does a really great job at like just putting it on a tripod. She
Hmm.
doesn't answer the questions, but she'll like announce that she's going live and then just go live and then periodically she'll check it, but she doesn't make it a big deal. So she does a
Hmm.
really great job with it, but some other people have a hard time doing both.
It does. I sometimes have a hard time doing both. So there's some different things I'm gonna try in the future as far as going live, connect with a different camera, like have it on my head, and just kind of seeing my vision as I'm walking around type deal.
Yeah.
You know, I debated to go live Saturday night, but I'm like, well, this is a new location. Let's not go live.
Yeah. Let's just enjoy it. Maybe the next time you go back.
And not to mention, hey, Taryn, how you doing? Not to mention getting lost for an hour.
Yeah.
Just sweating profusely.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
That would have
but
been a good time.
yeah, I mean, it was fun. He was like, well, I'll camp out here. I says, what, do you have a one-man tent or something? Because I don't have one.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, if I could run faster than you, then I guess I'm all good. I'm like, hey, come on now.
That's funny. I always say that. I don't have to be fast, but just faster than you.
So this was a blast. Definitely appreciate you coming on tonight.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We'll have you back on again. And then we can maybe get Jeremy to come on next time, and he can
Yeah.
talk a little bit more, get to know
I'll have my
Jeremy.
hubby home. He can be on too, and then you'll get all three of us.
Absolutely. And that's good because I want everybody to get to know who you are and your group and stuff like that. That's very important to me. That way you guys get out there and people get to know who you are and get that a little bit of exposure. Sometimes not, sometimes too much is too much, but that's just kind of way how I like it. So,
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you.
absolutely. And definitely I'll check out those videos afterwards. And so how can the people get a hold of you guys? And what are all your main tabs they can find you at?
So we're Beyond the Badge Paranormal. Jeremy just made a wonderful new website, so that's probably the quick and easiest way. But you can find us on Facebook, you can find us on TikTok, you can find us on Instagram, and then I have my own TikTok as well, which is Jess Webb, and then I have a Seer Sisters TikTok. So there's a million different ways that you can contact us, but our website is the newest, coolest thing that Jeremy's worked really hard on, and you can learn about us. You can contact us, and you can watch all of our content on there as well. And then you can learn a little bit about Survive First and kind of what our mission is.
Absolutely. Great deal. So I usually like to have our guest give out a special message to the folks in chat and who's listening. What is your special message that you like to give out to those folks?
Oh my gosh, you should have gave me a heads up on that. I don't know that I have a special message. I guess just be authentically you. If you're a paranormal investigator, just be authentically yourself when you're making these videos and you're out here. That's really all I have for you. I don't have a big old quote. I'll be prepared next time.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. However, I did forget about two questions
Sure.
that was just sitting in my mind. Now, these are kind of random questions I like to ask a lot of people, and Tara knows what I talk about. What is the one object in the whole world? It could be anything that you don't want to ever be haunted.
That I don't ever want to get haunted?
Could be
Oh,
anything.
that I don't want to get haunted. Like haunt me or like,
Anything. Could be any object.
you
And
know,
we are parental advisory, so
I don't know. I have no idea how to answer that question. I don't know that I want anything to be haunted. I like my peace. I work really hard on protecting my house. I don't really want to be haunted.
uh,
Inhabited's fine, sure, have some friends and some spirit guides, but I don't know that I want anything to be haunted. I guess my home, right? Like I don't want that to be like a bad juju place. So we'll say my home.
okay. And that's common. The number one answer is toilet.
The toilet. You know, you'd have to be. I never would have thought about my toilet, but yeah, I guess I don't want that to be haunted either.
Yeah, it was like toilets number one. Then we go to a car.
Hmm. Oh, like what is that old haunted car movie, Christie or something? Is
Yeah,
that right?
Christine.
Yeah, Christine. That's what it is. I can see that.
Yeah, and one was out of I was working on a radio show. Actually, I was on a comment section for this radio show, and they had this lady on, And I threw the question in the comments, and they read it off to her. And without hesitation, she said vibrator.
Oh, oh my God.
I'm like, are you sure you want to change an answer? And then she's like, oh yeah, butt plug.
Oh my God. Jesus, take the wheel.
I'm like,
Good Lord.
come
Of all the
on.
things that you could say.
Oh yeah, and that's why I keep it with the parental advisory on there. Like, whatever you say, because it. Yeah, and the flip side of that, and I think we've covered that. You said you don't want anything to be haunted because it's the other flip side is what would you want to be haunted?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a difference in haunted and inhabited, right? Like when I think of something being haunted, I think of like disturbances. Like I can't sleep because this like damn spirit won't stop knocking shit over. And then there's like somebody's just passing through. Like my relatives come and my husband's relatives come, or um, if I'm close to you and your relatives come in and give me a message, that's fine. I don't know that I necessarily want things to be clicking and tapping. My kids make enough of a mess around here. I don't need anything else to do that.
That's funny. Last one. What is one object in a world that you never want to hold?
Oh boy, I would say anything like, oh, okay, hold on. Was that Robert the doll thing where you're not supposed to like touch it? Or
Mm-hmm.
Annabelle? I would say something to that effect.
Ah, cookie jar.
Okay, it wasn't a cookie jar. It was actually a Yeti cup. I broke my toe recently on a Yeti cup.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's not good. And they can't do nothing for broken toes.
It is what it is. It's fine. It was black and blue and looked pretty nasty for a minute, but it was fine. And I spilled
Wow.
my coffee.
Oh yeah. The one on that one, a friend of mine was saying something from the Holocaust, and never want to hold anything from that.
Yeah. If I touch things, I can see things. So I think some of that would probably frighten me as well.
I would say.
He called me bougie.
Well, we're all a little bougie in our own little way, right?
I can be. I can be.
Jess, this was a good interview. Thank you very much
Thank you.
for being on my last interview for the year. I will be picking back up in January or February, depending on how things go next year. Remember, you've been watching the Paranormal Brew and BB3 TV network. Paranormal Brew on Facebook. They're also on YouTube. Same thing with BB3 TV. And then if you don't have Facebook and you want to be on YouTube, you can join me on MGS Paranormal on YouTube. So she's Jess, and I'm Darren. Thank you all for joining us tonight, and I bid you adieu. So long,
Thank
everybody.
you.